Hey y'all, day 7. Figured I'd talk a little bit about potential contributing factors again. Not that I think it necessarily affected me, but there's others that similar circumstances could have. And I certainly don't want to make light of that. As I mentioned in the previous video, two gentlemen that I served with, both served honorably, in fact served through retirement. Same deployment, same circumstances. One affected, very much so, one not at all. It all depends on, in my opinion, on how it affects you. Back to the Iraq deployment. Had two separate circumstances, one of which had potential to have a very nasty outcome. Sorry, it's evening. I'm getting my cigarettes in. We were convoying from Fob Warhorse out to Kirkush Military Training Base, and really to start out the route, and the primary route was about the only one you really had, just because due to the area of the terrain, without going around an ungodly amount of unnecessary distance. But shortly after leaving the gate, you come out the gate, turn left, go down about a half mile, make another left, and you go about a mile, and there was a roundabout. Normally roundabouts wouldn't be a serious issue, but at this particular location, and all of them to my knowledge in Iraq, there were jersey barriers, the portable concrete barriers you see on road construction on the highways. These were a little bit more robust, but the same basic thing. And once you entered into, like 30 yards away from actually entering the roundabout, you had jersey barriers on both sides. Now granted, we were in MRAP, so they're very big, very, very big vehicles. If you get a chance, look up an RG33 Long or RG33 Long Plus. That was the primary MRAP that we used. They're big son of a guns. I called them the soccer mobile from hell, because they had everything and could haul quite a few people. 11 if I remember exactly. But either way, I was in the lead truck. The TC was the Walrus, the troop commander. Didn't necessarily agree with him sitting in the position as a TC, being the team lead. He should have been more of the convoy lead, which would put him in a different seat in the back. He should be overseeing the overall movement, not just cobwebs. The overall movement, not concerned with our particular vehicle. He should be concerned with the entire convoy. But here nor there. Oh, my wife's home. Hi, hon. You can come in and sit down. You're not interrupting anything. But here nor there, we enter into the roundabout, and once you enter in, there's really no easy way to get out other than to go through, because you have vehicles behind you. They're not easy to back. They're bunched up fairly snug, and as we're easing in, the driver's calling out over the radio, the internal comms, hey, go or stay, go or stay. And because he knows once you enter in, you're basically screwed. And it was commonly known that this was a easy pinch point, a easy place to be ambushed, and the Iraqi military and Iraqi police, typically Iraqi police, were monitoring these and stationed at them, were also very corrupt. So they could be calling out to people, hey, here they come on in, come have fun. But they called he asked, enter, stay or not. I mean, are we going or are we holding back? And the troop commander called up, says, what do you think? I said, go, I'll stop him. Which means that I traversed my weapon from dead ahead over to the left-hand side of the vehicle. Weapon I had was a 240, belt-fed 308. and watching traffic. And my job was, if somebody got too close, was to kill the vehicle. Right as we enter in, start into the roundabout, I see a champagne-colored sedan coming around the corner. The Jersey barriers were tall enough that he couldn't see us. However, I could see him. So I'd already taken the weapon off safe, taken aim, standard SOP, standard operating practice at that time, and probably still, was if you had to fire at a vehicle, you started out at the passenger side front tire, strafed across the engine block into the driver. So I was tracking, so as soon as he cleared, I was going after that passenger front tire. The reason you would do that is in that area they have left-hand drive vehicles just like the US, so if you miss the rest of it, at least if you got the tire, then that would tend to push them off into the ditch and away from you. Kill the engine, stop progress, kill the driver, and it ain't going nowhere. But at the last second, right before I was ready to pull the trigger and I'd taken the slack out, he saw us and slammed on the brakes. He had just a couple more feet and I'd have killed him. I didn't necessarily have any problem with that. Maybe there's something wrong with me for that. I don't know. My concern was the safety of my team, plain and simple, and that was my job. Thank God I didn't have to. He did see us at the last minute, and the reason why we had a set distance we had to make or break was because he just couldn't traverse the weapon down far enough. So once they got so close, you're screwed. You couldn't do anything about it. You'd be shooting right over the top of them and you're done. And it was somewhere around like the 15-meter range, so a little over 45 feet. Not a real big distance, but inside of 45 feet you're hosed. You can't do it. Nothing you can do about it. Either you're going to have an impact or an impact and an explosion, because typically they would load the vehicles up with explosives. But what really got me was the look on the man's face, the driver, and then seeing his wife in the passenger seat and what appeared to be a young girl, probably 5-6 years of age, in the back. Had he waited a couple seconds longer, maybe a second, I'd have probably killed him, and inadvertently probably killed his wife and child. Thank God, knock on wood, never had to do it. But it almost came to that point. That particular piece doesn't bother me, but I can't say that anybody else that would affect them, it would not affect them. I'm not going to place judgment, and I'm not going to try and speculate on other people's behalves. It's just not right. But it can be the little things that can mess with you the most. Had I had to pull the trigger, I guarantee you that would have affected me. At the very least, if I'd only killed the driver, there's a little girl who would have lost her father, and even worse, she'd have saw him killed. And a woman who would have lost her husband, the father of her child, that would have lost her husband and seen it happen. I don't know. It's, like I said, it's different for everybody. Everything affects people differently. If you're watching this and you've been in my shoes, or if you're just struggling with depression, anxiety, hopefully it sheds a little light. Just because it wouldn't affect somebody else doesn't mean that it's wrong if it affects you. So, but just something to think about. Thank you all once again for the support. If you know anybody you think this might help, please, by all means, hey, take a look. Once again, I am no expert. I'm just average guy. I sure as heck ain't a mental health professional. So please take everything with a grain of salt. It might help, it might not. It works for me, it may not work for you. But try and get help, even if the help is just talking to somebody. Get a hold of me if you need to. Y'all take care. Good night.